All right, welcome to everybody's favorite Red Mage, episode number 102. I'm Nothing Way, aka Spencer, and this is a 5-minute breakdown of a Red Magic the Gathering card, their properties, missed opportunities, and honestly what I think. Yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv/NothingWay for a $0 free-to-play experience on MTG Arena. I'll show you how to get it done. Today is the card from the set March of the Machines. Urabrask. A lot of people say this in many different ways. 4 mana, 2 red, and 2 colorless for a 4/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. It has first strike. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Urabrask deals 1 damage to target opponent. Add 2 red, exile Urabrask, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery and only if you cast 3 or more instants and / or sorcery spells this turn. It transforms into the Great Work. It's a saga or a saga. At 1, first phase, the Great Work deals 3 damage to target opponent and each creature they control. For 2, create 3 treasure tokens, and at 3 until end of turn, you may cast an instant and sorcery spells from any graveyard. If a spell cast this way would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. Exile the Great Work, then return it to the battlefield face up. What? There's so much going on in this card. This is the first red card I've ever seen with so many things going on. Wow, I have to unpack this. Okay, so the Urabrask, if you guys have been paying attention, these Praetors, right? They're 4 mana, 5 mana. They're at 4/4. They have first strike. They have menace. They have these awkward abilities, right? These Praetors in red. They've always been very tricky cards. I've always seen them as bombs in draft. It's very rare that I see them in like a constructed format because they're slow. Like they're just slow cards. They're not super slow. They're not out of a scale from 0 to 10. They're not 10 slow, but they're like 7 slow, right? They're like pretty up there. Because when you play your 4 mana red spell, you're trying to win the game, right? And usually when you're playing 4 or 5 mana spells in red, especially because this is a red aggro, perspective, you don't want to play, this creature and then have to wait to do something else, right? Like you don't want to, like you have to windmill. Like think of a card, you look at your deck, you draw the card, you look at it, then you windmill, slam it down, and then win the game, right? Like with Urabrask or any other Praetors I've ever seen, it's very rare for me doing that, right? I don't feel like I'm going to windmill slam this card down, right? It's very rare. Because look, the moment you cast this and you play it, right, the game state doesn't really change, right? It's a 4 for first strike, so it's cool because you have a blocker, right? But then I have to do stuff. I have to untap. And the moment that you tap out to do something, you're super vulnerable to sweepers, kill spells, right? So here, if you get to untap with it, it's going to be the bomb. It's going to be a good time, right? Because then you start casting stuff and doing damage and you get to add red mana, right? Like super to bomb. I think that's already super awesome. Wouldn't change it unless this creature had haste. Yeah. Now you have to play 3 spells. So at 4 mana, your creature, okay, has to survive. You have to untap with it. Okay. You have to cast 3 spells. So you have to commit. Yeah. So if your opponent is, usually amazing at Magic, they're gonna kill your guy on the second spell, right? Unless you have instance, right? So you cast 1 spell. Right? And if it's sorcery and you get pretty lucky, you have 2 instants in the pocket, your opponent doesn't kill your creature in response, right? So pay attention to that. When it transforms, right, you're still going to have to wait, right? Because you draw after the turn, right? So this triggers at the draw. Because the first one doesn't target a creature, it does each creature, you might not want to hit it. There might be creatures that you might miss. There might be creatures that you don't want to hit. right? That could be a little skeptical, right? 3 treasure tokens is kind of cool because those could stick around when Urabrask flips. And last, until end of turn, you get to cast an instant or sorcery from the yard. Any yard is pretty dope, so I would like this. I could mess with this. This card has to be exiled, right? I like it. This card's a 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 because of its tricky components, right? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? You let me know. There's a lot to unpack with this, right? Episode number 102 is up. It's out. Peace out. See you next time.